What's up?
Man, it's always good to get back to Ministry Talks Podcast. How are you?
Hey, doing great. Good to see you, man. You're in a different location today.
I am. I'm at home. And
right,
honestly, in this season, this is what I'm thankful for Riverside FM, because we are able to do things like this. Hey, listen, we are connected with Riverside FM for season 8. So make sure you stay tuned with that. You can always still stay untuned with us with YouTube and Spotify and different things like that. You can go to mintalkspodcast@gmail.com, send us an email, let us know what you would like to talk about if you've got questions for us, and go to Buy Me a Coffee. Make sure you sponsor us, because here at Ministry Talks Podcast, we have a coffee with every episode. Season 8, episode 3. Today's subject is nobody drifts into greatness. Pastor Wes, I'm going to drink my coffee. Take us away, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the intro. Welcome to all of our subscribers, all of our watchers, and anybody new on the platform. Thanks for joining us today. Nobody drifts into greatness, Isaiah. It does not happen on accident.
Right.
It takes a lot of thinking, a lot of effort, and then also a proper definition of greatness, which I think we'll touch on today as well. So, man, it seems to me that in the age of YouTube, right? So this is kind of an ironic moment. In the age of YouTube, all you need is 100,000 subscribers, and all of a sudden you're great.
Yeah.
Pastors as well, leaders, right? The more people you got following you, or the bigger your company, or the bigger the bottom line, right? Oh, that's such a great company, or they're a great person to work for. Anytime somebody says that this is a great thing, or a great person, or a great opportunity, just know that there's a lot of work that went behind that.
Agreed.
Because nobody drifts into greatness. You don't wake up one morning and all of a sudden you're the CEO of, let's use my son's favorite cliched joke, Tesla.
Okay.
Right. Elon Musk is not, he didn't accidentally stumble onto greatness with the EV brand and the car and SpaceX and all this other stuff. Right. Gary V, which, it's just a reference. There's no connection. There's none of, he didn't become great by just waking up one morning and going, you know what? I'm so awesome. You don't become accidentally great. You work at it. You work at it really hard. And sometimes we have to understand that what we think is great, as Christ followers, what we think is great may not always be what God says is great, right? And
that's true.
Yeah, you don't drift into greatness. It takes a lot of work, man.
I'm asking a heavy question right now before we get into the break.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you maintain greatness? Because, one of my favorite documentaries, and I've watched it over 10 times. I know I have, and I'll probably watch it again before the end of the year. It's just the thing I do. But I watch The Last Dance with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls.
Right. Such a great doc.
So how do you maintain greatness? And I know that's such it's an easy question to probably ask, but it's hard to answer, because how do you, like you said, how do you view greatness in ministry? And then how do you view greatness in the secular world? So how do you maintain greatness?
You're right. That's a great question to ask. So in hockey, there's this guy called the Great One.
Okay.
Wayne Gretzky. Right.
I had a feeling that's who it was. I just wasn't sure.
Still holds a bunch of records on the ice. Right. Basketball. I don't know where the GOAT conversation lands, but Jordan's the GOAT, always has been, always will be, in my opinion.
I don't care who you are. Yep.
And so, right. To bring it. But these guys, achieved greatness through hard work.
Yeah.
But then you also have to maintain the same level of hard work. Yeah. You can't go, oh, I made it, and then just drift. Because what tends to happen is the next person who comes up that could be as great or better will bypass you. And let's turn this, instead of a sports analogy, let's turn this into relationships. Okay. Jennifer and I have been married for 26 years.
Shout out.
I think it's great. She thinks it's great, but it's been a heck of a lot of work, because a good marriage, a great marriage, takes a lot of hard work. It's worth all of the work, but it takes a lot of hard work.
I
And
agree.
I was told at a very young age, as a very young husband, what you did to get her, you have to do to keep her.
Yes, sir.
And
Say
so,
that again. Oh my
right?
gosh.
What you did to get her, you have to do to keep her. And I'm not talking about just the physical things too, like, you know, the
Right.
massages or the foot massages or the dating or the time that you spend, the interests that you have,
Right.
the things that you have done that would, you know, sweep her off of her feet. They are the things that still have to be maintained in doing so, right? Or else you end up getting one of these relationships like this. I told you I loved you on the day we got married, and if anything changes, I'll let you know. Right.
That sounds like a contract.
Yes, exactly.
Not a covenant, but
Not a covenant.
Whatever. That's a different episode.
But the idea that greatness can be achieved, you know, through hard work is the same idea, I feel, the same idea that it takes to maintain what it is that's great. Now, let's take this to a ministry aspect real quick.
Okay.
So, and I'm not picking on any big ministry, okay? But to be a mega church, it took a lot of work to get there, right? If you're 2, 3, 5,000 people in a church, and just FYI for all of our listeners, that was not accomplished by one man. Is this thing on? Did I say that loud enough?
I can hear you.
That is not accomplished by one man. That was accomplished by an entire team, right? But the leader of the leadership of the person with the vision and the leadership of the person with the drive. Craig Rochelle, for instance, I love listening to his podcast. You know, Craig Rochelle Leadership Podcast, like his stuff. His tagline is awesome, right? When the leader gets better, everybody gets better. Well, that's a statement of maintaining a leadership idea or a leadership setting to where you're always wanting to be a better leader. You're always wanting to be a better person. And so all of that basically to come around and say, it takes the same amount of work. Let me rephrase that. It takes the same heart and desire to want to continue to work on things and work in things as it does to want to be great in the first place.
You know, to even say that, like, and mind you, let's just get extremely personal. I feel like 8 seasons in, we can kind of get a little raw.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We record on Thursdays, which is for me a stretch because I know on Wednesdays I have youth.
Right.
But I'm also in a new space right now where my littlest one is in kindergarten. So here's a prime example of what happened just last night. I'm just giving it to you raw right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where I'm playing drums because I'm off for this month because I've released all of my leaders to preach. So it opened the door for me to be able to play drums. I'm still serving. I'm still there overseeing. I'm just helping serve in a different capacity.
Right.
Justin, who is my brother, good friend, and who's also the youth worship leader. Well, last night something happened with his little girl where I think her elbow or shoulder or something got dislocated. And so I could tell that they were really trying to work through it. And I'm looking at the clock and I'm seeing where 7 o'clock and I see him hook the quarter and he looks at me and he says, "So how do you feel if there's no worship tonight?" I said, "I'm okay with that. You need to be able to take care of your kids." But I said, hold on for a second, because we had Austin. Now I'm name dropping whoever, whatever, but Austin, who you've met, who plays the acoustic guitar for our young adults ministry, also plays bass. And he just so happened to be downstairs playing bass. And then Bree was down there, who was not scheduled. And then we had Ty. And I said, "Hold on, Justin, let's make a pivot. We can lessen the set from 4 songs to 2 songs. We've got Bree, who can play keys and lead. We've got Austin, who can shift and pivot from bass guitar to acoustic guitar, and you still keep Ty for harmony. And I'm still there to play drums, so we can still make the pivot." Right. Here's what I'm saying. I don't do youth ministry by myself.
Correct.
My wife helps me because she's the brains behind it, and she also makes sure that we stay within budget. Thank God for Pastor Jen and Pastor Heather. Praise God.
Come on, praise God.
But I'm also thankful. I'm also thankful for a team that when we need to make a pivot, they're available for the pivot. So here's how you don't. Let me say this. Here's our title. Nobody drifts into greatness.
Yeah.
Okay. we had a great service last night. We had a hype night. We had a rally night. Kids brought their friends. Nobody knew what was going on.
Right.
I made the comment, hey, we're going to pray for Justin. We're going to pray for his little girl, but we're going to give a shout out to Austin, to Bree, and to Ty, who are next leaders up. And guess what? Because there's been a culture established, because there's been a consistency established, nobody's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it happened. It's like, hey, we're praying for you. You go take care of your family, but we're here. So all that to say, and I'm going to ask this question, and then we're going to go into the break. How do you maintain greatness? How do you bring those around you into greatness?
Yeah, that's good.
Like, how do we bring those who we serve alongside and lead into greatness? So,
that's good. That's a great question. We'll get to answering that here in just a moment. Go ahead and take a minute and let's thank our sponsors and our platform here today. So we want to thank Riverside FM. We are an affiliate sponsor with them. And so we are digging this platform. It allows us to do this kind of thing. So I'm still in the studio.
Yes.
Isaiah's at home. Yes. And then when we bring our next guest on for this season, they're going to be wherever they are. And we get to do all of this together. And it's going to be super great. So Riverside FM, the link will be in the description down in the YouTube channel. And if you end up getting a paid subscription to it, it's not super expensive. It's anywhere from $10 to $25 a month. And you can get a big old platform like this. And that's the basics. And trust me, if you don't know how to do any of this stuff yet, the basics got you covered. It's really point and click. It's kind of cool. So
I do want to add to this too. Like, we are asking for help. We're asking for sponsorships because we believe in this page. We believe in this platform. And, to what Pastor Wes even said in the beginning, I want to thank those that have been sponsoring. We want to let you know how much we appreciate that. That does not go unnoticed because of that belief, because of the seed that you've sown. We're able to now take this to the next level. And I think as you do anything, you always want to go to the next level. And I mean, I'm thinking about season 1 when we were in my office sitting in 2 chairs.
Oh man,
and then we graduated. And so, we are asking for some help. We're asking for some donation because we believe in this content. But I believe if you've been following us let me sound really King James. If you've been following us thus far, I would love for you to, continue to keep sowing into that. We provide our own coffee.
That's right.
We do. I mean, I don't know if I can share whoever that is, but shout out to that coffee spot in Burien. But yeah, anyhow, I just wanted to say that, we're thankful. We really are. And we just look forward to it. And once again, shout out to Riverside FM. So.
Yep. And then you can also, the actual sponsorship, then you can find at buymeacoffee.com.
Yes.
The full link, I think it's /MinTalksPodcast.
Yes.
But the full link will be down in the description. And we have multiple different levels of sponsorship, everything from just a $5 supporter, just to say thanks for the content, to a $10, $15, $20, and even $50 supporter per month. And all of that, 100% of that, goes back into the business of making sure that we have good content, timely done, and properly produced. I mean, that's where Riverside FM kicks in, is we get to actually produce a whole lot better from here. So,
and I mean, because and then too, right? Like, and I know we're probably spending some time on it, but I think like I'm looking at our mics. You guys helped provide these mics for us.
These mics are legit, man. These things are clean sounding.
And I just want us to, and if there's one thing I've learned from Pastor West, it's like, we want to just be forthcoming. And, I want you to see, like, this is where the investment goes into things like this. And so there's even different like levels. I think it's like French press, pour over, like it's cool little coffee, terms, but it just goes
drip
to help.
Coffee, French press, pour over. Yeah, we got all those different levels. You'll see it. You'll see it on the link provided. And and then finally, just a big shout out to all of our supporters and current supporters and listeners. We just want to say thank you. Thank you for hanging with us. Thank you for believing in us and allowing us to do great content. One quick housekeeping thing for everybody, just so that you know that we are as frugal as possible and we don't just throw your investment away. Pastor Wes, this guy right here, found I found a coupon to make Riverside FM almost half the cost per month.
Thank God
for
coupons.
a nonprofit. And so we went from being able to do this for 3 months now to being able to do this for 6 months. And it's paid for, just because of your investment and your support. And so again, thank you.
That's called being a great steward, my friend.
I'm trying to be a good steward of people's time and people's money and things like that. So
yeah.
Speaking of people's time, let's get back to it.
Yeah. So, okay, let's get back to it. Here's the question. The first question was, how do you maintain greatness? And I think you answered that really good. The question I want to piggyback it with is, how do we maintain greatness around us? Like, how do we bring those into becoming greater?
Yes. Yeah. That's a good question. I think, and this is from my personal experience, this is what I both experienced and am trying to model.
Yeah.
You have to lead with a pure heart, right? Lead with a good conscience. And then you have to want others' success for them. Right. So if we're bringing people around us, it's not to say, hey, look, I've got all of these people and they're making me great.
Right.
We're bringing people around us so that the church can be, so that the business can be, so that the family can be great together. So like we can do things that are considered, great by the standards of God, finding ways of righteousness, finding ways of actually serving one another and being there for one another, which we'll get to some of that here a little later in the content. But yeah, the idea of having people around you is not to make you great. It's so that the thing that you're doing together, the thing that's bigger than yourself, that can be touted as something that's great. I want to be a part of that. And so leaders then, as dads and everything else, but leaders especially, we do that by we lead by example. Yes, right? Sir. You got to stay humble. You got to stay hungry. Right? You have to make sure that you're not the end all be all of everything. Now, when it comes to being a senior pastor, I've learned it, and it's been a hard lesson to learn, but yeah, I'm going to stand before God one day and give an account for the decisions I've made for this church and this flock. Mm-hmm. At the same time, a lot of those decisions are, who did you bring around you to do this? Right? Wow. Did you find the fivefold ministry people that I've sent to you? And did you make it a thing? Right? Did you make it to where everybody's participating? Did you, Ephesians 4, teach them to do the work of the ministry?
Yes.
Right?
And so allowing a space.
Yes. And then that then makes the whole great. It makes the totality of it all really great. And so you have to want to grow yourself. You have to want to grow yourself as a leader. If you ever think you've made it, if you ever think that you have arrived or achieved greatness, awesome. Wake up the next morning and figure out what the next level is. Figure out what the next step is. And if you really have achieved greatness, okay, I'm going to put it this way. If you really have achieved greatness, then my question to you is, who are you teaching then to be great?
That's a heavy question, but that's a real question. Right now, all of my leaders are preaching, and I've had a few young people in my youth ministry come to me with a desire to want to preach. And I haven't heard that in the last 5 years that I've been back at the river. At least I know I haven't heard that in the last 5 years. I don't know when you heard a young person, Pastor West, come to you and say, hey, I feel like God is calling me to preach, or I have a desire to preach. And so now me and Heather, now that we know we've got our leaders preaching, now we're trying to get ready to get the next generation ready to preach. Because what I would love to see happen at our summer camp this year, which, by the way, we've got the summer camp location, we've got dates, and we've got a theme. When this drops, we would have already paid the deposit, and we are in planning mode for next year, because that's how you get better. You don't try to plan 90 days or 60 days. No, we need a whole year. And I want to make sure that this camp experience that we had was amazing, but I want to go better. I want the games to be, I want the worship to be, I want the sermons to be. So if we can walk with leaders, which we've done now, if we can walk with students, and guess what? It creates a buy-in. It creates a sense of ownership of like, dang, I have, and then you got to act like fast, but with wisdom. Correct. So you have to act quickly, we want to strike while the iron's hot, but you need to do it wisely. So
Yes.
we are going to walk with young people. I think we're going to walk with 4 or 6 young people. We're going to give them 10-minute slots, and I want to help cultivate them as they preach. If there's a desire, let's do it. If you don't have a desire to preach, I don't want you to. If you got a desire to sing, if you got a desire to serve in the multimedia, whatever, but things should be growing. And I know, right? We've got some scripture. We've got a story that we want to share that I think there's 2 sides of this story. Pastor Wes, you want to get to it?
Yeah. So I'm sitting here, we're wrapping before the session here, and we're saying, hey, what story did we bring out? Like, well, what do we talk about? And what came up was, and I hope we break it down good enough here.
I think we will.
Came up was the story of the prodigal son.
Right.
So homie had, with no disrespect, I'm just going to talk. Homie had a good life. Right. Things were pretty great.
He probably had a Tesla. I mean, if I'm being honest, he probably,
he had everything he needed and then some, right? Because he was the son of an heir, right? He was the heir of a wealthy man. And so,
right.
And then one day he gets the bright idea. Hey, you know what? I'm here. I've made it. I could be great. All I need is my money. So he rolls up to dad and he's like, hey, I'm going to go be great. Right. Myself.
Mm-hmm.
There's a phrase out there, go be great, King.
Yeah. Go be great.
Right. Go be great. Well, the reality is he ended up squandering all of the money. He had fair weather friends.
Yeah.
He probably prostituted himself out to all kinds of alcohol and bad situations and debauchery.
Yes, sir.
Right. And the Bible says that he was making really poor decisions. And then when the money ran out, so did all of the greatness.
And everybody attached to
and everybody attached to it. Mm-hmm. And so he's homeless now. He's out there eating slop with pigs, right? And he's digging for garbage. And he finally comes to his senses and he says this, and I love this part. He says, even the servants in my father's house have it better than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he has this immediate mind shift of, I'm gonna take everything that I have already done, and I'm gonna just go back and I'm gonna be the lowest of the low, and I'm gonna try and start from the bottom. And it's in that type of thinking where you think that if once you're there, you've made it, you've got it, you're great already, and it's just gonna stay. The question of how do you maintain greatness is, if he would have invested his funds, if he would have chosen better friends wisely, if he would have, there's so many different things that this young man could have done to maintain a greatness level that he had already been given by his father.
Yeah.
And boy, that'll speak to a different generation. And then he realized, once it was all gone, he realized, he says, I'm not great anymore. So how do I get it back?
Can I ask you this?
Yeah, go for it.
Because I know I have the contrast on the backside for the other son, but here's my question while you're talking about the first son. Do you believe that he was trying to ride on the coattails of his last name? Like, and I'm just throwing this out there because we know he left to get his money to go live however he wanted to live. But sometimes people with a certain last name feel like they carry a weight, like, oh, I'm a this. You need to respect that. I'm connected to that. You better do. Do you think that maybe that's where he was at? Like, hey, if it works for my dad, it's going to work, like, no matter what. Do you think that could have been?
That could have been a part of it. I think what we see in actually in Luke 15 is we see his heart. Right now, this is also the parables that Jesus is teaching, to around the Sermon on the Mount time, and he's teaching it to his disciples and everything. And so, and again, this is a parable of a lost son, right? Just like it was a parable of a lost coin and a lost sheep and all of that. Right. But now this is personal. This isn't a possession. This is a person.
Yes, sir.
And so this person said, I want to go and be myself. I think I can do it. I think I'm the great one. And because this is a place where we can be real, there's an entire generation behind me, behind us, that think that because mom and dad have it good, I'm good too.
Oh, like a safety net, bro.
Right. And the reality is, and I love my children. I do. But they don't have big girl and big boy money.
Greatest blessing. And What was that first episode? Greatest struggle.
Greatest blessing and greatest, struggle. Biggest blessing and greatest struggle. That was episode 1. They don't have dad's money. They don't have mom's money. They got to go out and make their own money, right? Yes. Even my 15-year-old son right now, he's like, Dad, how do I make money? I'm like, well, here's some options. Here's some things. But listen, it's going to take work, right? Pastor Jennifer and I, we've never been in this situation financially before because we've never been this age before. Oh. But when you're 20 years old and you don't do what your parents have done, or you don't do what your bosses have done, or you don't do what your pastors or leaders have done, but you want to be there and have that stuff and you want to be that great, but you didn't put in the work. That's where the son was.
Man, you just said a whole lot.
That's where the son was in the prodigal son. So he thought that because his dad was great and because he had all the stuff from his dad, because of his dad, he's just going to go out and be great by himself. But what he didn't know how to do, okay, we listening? Because this is going to double back to last episode. He didn't know how to make the decisions that bring the blessings instead of the decisions that give the consequences. That was last episode. You should watch it.
After this one. Now here's the backside, right? Here's the backside because
flip side of the story.
The flip side of the story, because you and I were talking and you were like, Isaiah, how does it sound? I'm like, I said, man, I'm gonna join in with you on this one because there was the older son who stayed home.
Right.
Who felt like because of his loyalty, because of everything he had done, he felt like he should have been like more deserving of like, how come you don't see me? Like, do you not see everything that I'm doing? I stayed. Yes. I didn't leave. I didn't abandon you. So because of that, you want to throw him a party, but you don't want to throw me anything.
And that's verse 29 of chapter 15. And it says this, but he, the older brother, replied, all these years I've slaved for you and never once refused to do a single thing you told me. Yep. And in all that time, you never gave me one young goat for a feast for my friends.
Think about the entitlement.
Think about the entitlement behind that. I did everything you said, and yet you didn't do for me what you did for him. Okay. So then you're making the story about you. That's what I'm hearing.
Both sons are entitled. One feels entitled to his money. Give it to me. I'm going to go do my own thing. The other feels entitled because I stayed here. Now let's make this personal because I'm pretty sure you've heard this story. And I mean, if you watch a movie, it might come across on the storyline, but there's always the one kid, whether it's the older brother, older sister, younger, middle, whatever, who ends up not chasing their dream to stay to take care of either the family business or take care of the family's needs. And then there's that one that goes off, becomes successful, comes back. And then there's the resentment. And because there's the resentment, well, I didn't get a chance to be great. Well, hold on. Nobody told you. Right. You made a decision. Now let's go back to the last episode. You made a decision that you're now seeing a consequence to. Yes. But nobody told you. Nobody told you to do that. Nobody told you to. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like when I think about this, we've got the older brother who's like, Dad, you didn't do nothing for me and I've been here. I deserve that. You know, so I like it. So I deserve to be great because I've already done everything you've told me to do. Right. I deserve the title. I deserve. And so, in that entitlement, you can try and force greatness. You can try but again, that would be a drifting into the father's, good graces. That would be a drifting into. And yes, he did the work, but his heart was, because I did the work, I need to be recognized. I need to have the blessing too. So I'm gonna pull this into this, and then we'll do our giveaway here. Okay. Just because we do and this is the difference between what God thinks is great and what we think is great. Just because he did the work doesn't mean that he was supposed to be the great one. So just because you do the work doesn't mean that you're going to get the accolades. Just because you do the work doesn't mean that you're going to see all of the, right? You're not going to see all of the likes or subscribes on your YouTube channel or on your social medias or right. And that's one of the things that
that social media really gives everybody the opportunity is to blow up and be great in other people's eyes.
And that's why the first question was asked early on. How do you maintain it? So then it goes like this. If summer camp was a bust, Isaiah, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
But if summer camp is amazing, oh my gosh, Isaiah, like, here's the deal. Nobody knows the back conversations that I have to have financially. You know, we're looking at like my young people are excited for summer camp. Here's what I thoroughly believe. If we were to open up summer camp registration tomorrow, all of the slots would be full. Every last one of them.
It would pack out.
But we have to time it in order for it to be great. We got to plan it accordingly in order for it to be great. So there's so many things that we got to do on the back end before July 23rd gets here.
Yep.
So July 23rd is going to get here. We know it, but it's everything we're doing on the backside. We're doing a leaders meeting. We're going to debrief what went great, what can go better. Here's the theme. Here's what we're excited about. So, I mean, there's so many things. Like for me, it's like, okay, Isaiah, man, oh my gosh, you're killing it. You're doing great. But it's not me, man. It's not my youth ministry. This is God's youth ministry. I'm just the one who's responsible to be a good steward. I'm also very fortunate to have an amazing team that loves to serve, loves young people, and that want to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take advantage of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and like you said, for camp to be great, there's a lot that goes behind it. For a ministry to be great, there's a lot that goes behind it. For a family to be great, right? For a job, for a business to be great and actually make it, like, there's so much work that goes behind it. And the work will pay off. It's hard work, but it's worth the work. So
it is, man.
Keep at it. Think about it, right? I mean, being a good leader also means that you're a good reader. And so if you are looking for something to take you from maybe everything is really good right now, but I really want it to be great, here's a nice classic book, right? Jim Collins, Good to Great. Good to Great. If you haven't read this yet, dude, this is a classic on leadership, right?
I need to get my hands on that.
Why some businesses make it and why others don't, right? Why some businesses take the leap and they actually make it and others don't. And it's because all of the choices that you make, and it's the people you surround yourself with. And such a good book. Very, very classic. Another one that I read, Brad Lomenick. If you haven't read this book either, dude, this is the one. The H3 leadership, right? Be humble, stay hungry, always hustle.
Yeah.
Dude. Okay. As a leader in the church and or just a leader,
right?
This book feeds you. It's deep. It's sit down, have a steak dinner. It's challenging and it takes you to the next level of your leadership.
Yeah.
Faux show. So if you're wanting to be great, grab that book as well. Now this one, however, if you're trying to increase your spiritual awareness, increase your relationship with God, there is no better way to do that than to pray.
Yes, sir.
No better way. And prayer is one of the hardest things to maintain for some people. Now, if you've been given the gift of intercession, it's probably not as hard. Now, what you pray for is probably really hard, but to want to and to consistently do it is probably not so hard. However, is there a resource for that, Pastor Wes? Yes, there is. I'm glad you asked. And this is what we're going to give away in this episode. I actually have 2 of these books here. It's called A Praying Life by Paul Miller. And it is a great book on how to get to and maintain a great prayer life in chaos. The tagline here actually says connecting with God in a very distracted world. Yeah. And it's a great book. I have 2 of them that we can give away.
Love it.
It's so good. I actually bought a case of them and I've been giving them to people, and I want you to be a recipient of one. And so I will give 2 of them away. And all you have to do is you need to be a subscriber to the channel. So make sure that you like and subscribe and ring that bell for the channel so that if you're a subscriber, and then in the comment section, we want you to put hashtag a praying life, hashtag a praying life. Yeah. And then also the title of today's episode, which is hashtag nobody drifts into greatness. Yeah. So if you put those in there, shoot us an email even at mintalkspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know if you want this type of book. I don't want to just give it away, from here, but if you really are serious, then maybe we'll we'll get a couple more copies out there to everybody. But we're going to give away 2. You have to be a you have to like and subscribe to the channel. Hashtag A Praying Life and hashtag Nobody Drifts into Greatness. Go ahead and close this out, my friend.
Hey, listen, as we always say, and I've heard Pastor West say, my coffee is done, which means so is this episode.
Exactly.
And so, listen, we want to say thank you for tuning in. If you're brand new, welcome to Ministry Talks Podcast. If you've been with us, we want to say thank you for returning. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/Ministry Talks. Be a subscriber. Please subscribe. We are asking for help. Please donate 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever the Lord puts on your heart. We want to make sure to continue to be great stewards of it. We are on Riverside FM platform. You can go to YouTube, like, subscribe, and also send us an email at mintalkspodcast@gmail.com. All of those will be at the description below. And for season 8, episode 4, the next episode is going to be Jesus Changes Everything, or He Changes Nothing.
Yeah,
I cannot wait to get into that. It's going
to be a great episode, man.
Hey, listen, we love you. And one of the things that we say here is that we don't know everything,
but we're willing to walk with you through anything.
Hey, we'll see you in the next episode.
Peace.